podcast excellence since 2005. This is the King of Podcasts radio network, kingofpodcasts.com.
AEW gives us a great Hollywood ending. We also got some Hollywood havoc.
Woo! Hey, this is the Nature Boy Ric Flair. And believe it or not, whether you like it or don't like it, learn to love it. Because you have to listen to Wrestling is Real. It is the best thing going today. Woo!
The worldwide leader of podcasting excellence. The King of Podcasts Radio Network proudly presents The Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us.
AEW Revolution. We're going to recap it right now on the Wrestling is Real podcast. And this is episode 913 of the program. We're moving along real quick. So I won't go too much into things tonight, but we'll go ahead and just go into what I have. Starting off with the night from the Crypto.com Arena, Los Angeles, California. Sold out crowd. And, you know, there were 7 title matches on the card tonight. And there were a handful of matches I was ready to go ahead and get into. Like, getting into the night, Hangman, Adam Page, MJF. Swerve Strickland, Ricochet for the number 1 contenders match. And for me, I would say after that, it will be Toni Storm and Mariah May was the match I wanted to see all night. That was the one I was really looking forward to, because it was going to be the blow-off. Finally get the feud into an end, but like, what an ending to the whole thing altogether. Omega and Takeshita for the international title. A steel cage match with Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher. And that's the matches that I was looking forward to. And for me, you know, when I look at that World Championship match, and I'll talk about this more, it gives me a real feel of WCW pay-per-views back in the day. Like, of the East, well, this is the Eric Bischoff of the WCW. So, 97, 98, when we were getting to, it was always, you know, Hogan, Piper, Savage, Luger. And those were the ones at the very top of all those cards. Like, pre-Goldberg, pretty much. That's what it felt like. And just some of the cards we had and some of the matches, like, okay, I think of it, was it sold out that we had Hogan and Warrior? That's what it felt like. I felt like, okay, Warrior and Hogan in WCW as the main event, and that was an underwhelming match, but more things going on at the same time of the storyline with other older stars. Like, that's the other thing you got to think about too, is that you get a lot of stars in there that it just kind of give me that vibe, because the Death Riders just give me like that bad end of NWO black and white kind of vibe. It just doesn't feel good. And I don't know, there's just something more about like what they're doing with that storyline and still continuing with that, because that's the one storyline that is an anchor and everything else. I don't know if it's just Jon Moxley has this idea and he has to go and run with it and they have to just go and execute. But if Jon Moxley's doing this on his own, he has to understand it's not good. We're not enjoying this. I mean, they did have an interesting finish at the end, but we'll talk about that. So off the start of the night, MJF and Hangman Adam Page. So these guys never faced each other since the Dynamite match, right? That was the one time they actually were like head to head. And I think of the fact that when I look at MJF, he's right now back to his bread and butter. Like, when he's not champion, the heel stuff he does right now, yes, can be very predictable. There are some people that think that his character has not evolved in a while. And no, he doesn't. I don't necessarily feel like he needs to. Look, MJF is a throwback. People don't understand that part, that when I think of MJF and I'm looking at him in the match tonight, and I think of the mannerisms, and I think of the way he talks to the crowd and just everything. Of course, we always heard the Roddy Piper call-outs, that there was similarities to him. But I go back farther. I think of Nick Bockwinkel, I think of Larry Zbyszko, and I think of Ric Flair. Those three are really what it comes down to. Because Larry Zbyszko was the epitome of a chicken shit heel. So good at going outside, distraction, and just not getting the match started. He was excellent. In a way, I felt like Jeff Jarrett used to give me that, in TNA specifically. And I try to think of who else that was like that. But really, to me, Zbyszko was one of the best at that. Like, the guy was just a prick. And he goes running around, wouldn't get the match started, and you just this guy just finds his way to get around here. And that's what he used to do. So that's where it was with me. Larry Zbyszko was a great example. Just a chicken shit heel. MJF gives me that here. But then it was a Nick Bockwinkel thing as well, because Nick Bockwinkel, Ric Flair have a lot of similarities of their own style because of the flash, the ego, and the way they present themselves in the ring as well. Just the same thing goes. Well, there's a strength to them, but there's also a bit of that chicken shit heel in there as well. So that's what I get with MJF. He's a throwback, and I think he just wants to continue to hone his craft. His work in the ring is fantastic. Does it feel like for some people, yeah, he's doing the same kind of thing? Yeah, because I don't need him to go ahead and like continue to evolve the character. Like, there's more things he could add to the persona. Sure, but this is just bread and butter MJF. I don't think anybody's complaining about it. I enjoy it. And Adam Page getting the win on the match, yeah, because they're going to have a feud. This is going to continue. You want to take this to Double or Nothing? Want to take it the full gear? I'm all in. I want Adam Page and MJF to go and flesh it all out. Go on with it. It's really, I enjoy it. So that match was very good. The way they set it up, enjoyed that a lot. When it comes to Mercedes Moné and the TBS title against Momo Watanabe, the other thing people talks about with Mercedes Moné, it's another character that is, she's not Sasha Banks. And it's very obvious that she doesn't want to be Sasha Banks. She has taken the persona of the Mercedes Moné character, which is a variation, but it's nothing like the Sasha Banks character we just remember, because for her, she's an international superstar. I feel like she wants to be Eddie Guerrero, the female version of Eddie Guerrero at the end of the day, who she's idolized forever. Because for her, she'll work in Mexico, she'll work in Japan. She's more almost like a throwback as well to like what like your Mildred Burke would do, or, you know, pick. Like, but that's what it is with her. She's trying to be like what women's wrestling has been for years before. And I think that's what her thing is that she wants to leave a legacy in her career that has nothing to do with WWE, right? Because she had a great thing going on in WWE, but when she got out of there and she was not being used as much as she was, while she was being teamed with Naomi, you know, look what they did when they left, when Sasha Banks and Naomi left. Remember, Naomi comes back, she's back tag teaming again, eventually. Like, her run as Trinity as a solo champion, and meanwhile, WWE for a while did not want to use her as such. Now they're using her as such, as a heel up against Jade Cargill, which, I'm sorry, it should be the other way around, but anyways. But when it comes to Mercedes Moné, yeah, she is finding herself now. She's comfortable where she is as this character now. She feels right in the character. Not having Camille at her side, I mean, I understand why they did it for what they did, but yeah, she's just the belt collector. She's doing basically what Austin Aries was kind of doing for a while, and working with all these different stars outside of the company and having them come into AEW to go ahead and take her on. Yeah, it's been done before, and that's good. So her to go to New Japan, her to go to AAA, awesome. I've enjoyed all that so far, and that's what she does. So I didn't have a problem with this match. She was going to win. It's more of an exhibition, but it was enough that this star they brought in was significant, so they decided to go and go this route. So I got no problem with that either. I wasn't necessarily going to be looking for much out of that match, but it was a good match nevertheless. Then you get the Ricochet and Swerve Strickland. That was a hell of a match. But that should be expected, because I'm sure these two face each other somewhere down the line, but for me, I feel like with Swerve Strickland now, I mean, there was a point 2019, like coming out after not seeing him again as Killshot and Lucha Underground, and then seeing him pop up and Court Bauer seeing the light in Swerve Strickland as Shane Strickland and making him World Heavyweight Champion on the onset of the return of MLW, beating Matt Riddle. And by the way, I saw that the YouTube channel MLW put that match up, the full match, if you want to go and check it out for yourself. But yeah, Shane Strickland becoming a champion in MLW and having this kind of prowess. Like, there was something to be said of where Court Bauer saw in 2019 or 2018, that there was something in Shane Strickland that needed to be done. And for the most part, I think AEW's done a great job building him up. Of any of the stars they brought in that were free agents from another company, Shane Strickland has been treated very well here. I think he's very comfortable in this company, and keeping him near the contendership is the right thing to do. a great opponent in Ricochet, where Ricochet comes in and wants to get some work. And they did a lot of work with Ricochet to build this new heel character, something different than his persona, something that, hey, people that might not think he's doing the great promos in the world, but you know what? It's different. It's recognizable. It's something unique. Like, you don't look at Ricochet as just some run-of-the-mill, okay, he's not the Superman. He's not just doing good matches. He's got a gimmick. It'll work itself out, I'm pretty sure. Just give it some time. But we have various things that are going on with this character that should be better off. So we'll wait for that. And Swerve Strickland pops up to confront Jon Moxley at the end of the night after Moxley wins, which we'll talk about in a minute. Okada over Brody King. The same thing here as well. They made a point in commentary that Okada is the tournament guy. So for him to be Continental Champion, what do you expect him to do? He's not going to go in and like come overnight and create promos and start talking up a storm. And he wasn't like that in New Japan either. But the guy just had opponents you took on. So in this role as Continental Champion, which by the way, he comes in, he's held this belt. He's not lost it. This guy is commanding the fact that, okay, put anybody up against him. He's taking all comers at AEW, and he's there. And for him, it's just the same kind of thing as he was New Japan champion. It was the same kind of idea. Or he was, the Intercontinental champion, whatever it is. That guy, you give him a belt, and all comers go after him. And that's what he is. That's what he was in New Japan for the most part. But he's still Rainmaker. It's the gimmick hasn't changed. He didn't have anything to do with that. Now, the one thing that doesn't help him is he doesn't have the Young Bucks at his side. So to keep him out with no Young Bucks and no Elite to be with, that's the part that hurts him because he does really do well in the chemistry with them. So by himself, he's just out there being the champ and just like, okay, come. Who wants next? Bitch. And that's it. As for the Hurt Syndicate being tag team champions, yeah, there's a rebuild in the company right now that needs to happen because they are running short. They split up the Acclaimed. They had some young tag teams, but they need to go and do some more with them. The Outrunners is like just the tag team of the month to go up here, but no FTR in part of this. And yeah, there's just a lack of them. I mean, but you do have some stars in here you could be using when it comes to, like, say, Hounds of Hell. Or you could be using the Gun Club if you want to get them back into the things. Like, there's stars you can go after right now and bring forward. But you get a lot of heels in there. And the Hurt Syndicate are heels. Unless if you went ahead and switched them around. And you could say, okay, Young Bucks, they come back. Confront the Hurt Syndicate. Or you have FTR. Or you have, or you could just have Hounds of Hell and other teams like out there that you can have them going good front, but they haven't done that yet. And I don't know what they're going to do with that right now, but at the moment they're just keeping them on top, and those are belts that are going to be held for them for the foreseeable. The match of the night for me, well, there's two matches tonight, but on the women's side, to finish up the Hollywood ending with Toni Storm and Mariah May. Every time I hear Toni Storm's music and I see her coming out in the black and white, I just feel so good. I did see the movie Queen of the Ring, Saturday night. It's pretty good. The story of Mildred Burke, did not know the whole story about it, but yeah, the promoter, Billy the Wolf, was a prick. The whole story about who they brought in to work in women's wrestling and the way they got going forward like it was, I was amazed by it. And also the main young character when she was young and how strong she was, and they're trying to go and move forward things when it came to wrestling. I was fascinated by that. But at the same time, Billy the Wolf might have been a real prick bastard. He was a womanizer. He was a liar. He was a manipulator. All that stuff. Sure. But, I mean, he did do some good things as a promoter to kind of move forward women's wrestling and wrestling or women of color and things like that. So, I mean, that was fascinating to see that story. And I think who they did pick, Britt Rickards, Britt Rickards, what was her name? She was the one that was cast as Mildred Burke. Great job in the casting role. I thought Camille's role in that movie was great. Toni Storm's role in that movie was great. They had some significant roles. Jim Cornette didn't have to do much. He just had to be Jim Cornette, and he worked as the NWA commissioner, so that was good. The period piece looked good. Like, just everything was done. It wasn't the biggest budget and the kind of thing it was set. It was like a little bit hokey, but like it was a pretty good story. Nevertheless, those kind of biopics, things like that, they're kind of like how they are, but it worked out. I would definitely recommend Queen of the Ring. Not a bad movie to watch. Maybe not have to watch it in the theater, but like definitely watch it streaming. It's worth that. It's not Iron Claw, because among wrestling movies, that you're not going to find something better than Iron Claw. Iron Claw was just, and even that, I don't know if I could watch that again, because that just was a tearjerker. Oh man, I could not. I don't know if I can go through it again. It's such a good story that they did. I mean, the way they put the movie together, but man, that was a story. I mean, when you know the Von Erich story and you see the ending of that, oh man, it just sucks. But now Toni Storm, coming off that Queen of the Ring movie that she's part of, among with Naomi and among others that were in there. Saw Mickie James with a cameo, right? Oh, not a cameo, but she was in there. I saw her in there too. A couple of others. Now, the Hollywood ending, they call this match. This was a bloodbath. And yeah, they do like to go ahead and finish off their feuds, AEW. In some cases, they do like to go and just go balls to the wall and just blood it out. Like, I mean, when you think about MJF and Punk, when you think about Adam Cole, when you think about Adam Page and Swerve Strickland, I mean, that, you think about, Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa, like, it's just all these kind of things that are out there. Yeah, bloody as hell, man. Just go at it. So they did that here. This match was great. Mariah May was fantastic. I mean, I could still see these two facing each other. If you wanted to reheat this feud again down the line, I'd be all in. But I love these two together. I didn't realize how great a chemistry they both have with each other. And the story they set up, where they stretched it out as it did, and the people they brought into it. And then the Toni Storm angle where she turns back into her original self as acting to get back at Mariah May, and then they continue the feud. This is one of the best women's programs ever. To me, this is one of the best women's storylines in all of women's wrestling. And Timeless Toni Storm is now once again on top as one of the best women's wrestlers, bar none. Anywhere. Listen, you want to talk about Julia, Stephanie Vaquer, you want to talk about, Athena Cage, whatever, you can talk about whatever you want. There's a lot of great women out there. But yeah, Thomas Toni Storm right now is so right there. And Mariah May has been just what a great adversary. And I really think that when it comes to AEW, Mariah May was made in this feud, was made in this company. She already had a name coming in here, but like right now, she is just on top of the world. Fantastic work. Great match. Then you get to Takeshita and Kenny Omega, the story being told with Kenny Omega and the Alpha and the Omega in this match. And Don Callis being part of this and also just being a prick bastard and also getting himself involved. And the funniest thing is see him hit his hand on the announce table and he hurts himself. And I'm like, just what a dick. But great stuff. Don Callis was great in commentary, great building up to the story of the match. Kenny Omega, Takeshita just knock it out of the park. Again, these two are just great together. You can tell that Takeshita has really matured a lot in his time in this company, and they've built him up as such a big star here to this point where he drops the international title now, and Omega is back as champion. And of course, the long story they told about Kenny Omega's long road to recovery to get back to where he is now is a fascinating story. They did a great job of this match. Really enjoyed that as well. Will Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher, steel cage match. Another bloodbath. Another big match. But this is also feels like it's a blow off for this match tonight, which is good. They're getting to blow offs on all these, right? You get to seeing where things go right now with the Hollywood ending and the IC, the international title here. Those are storylines I feel like they are done. Now Omega will move on. I don't know if Don Callis family gets a part of this or not, but where are they going to be going forward? The Will Ospreay Kyle Fletcher match, I think that also is like a blow off. I don't know if we continue these two, but I can definitely see where the Don Callis family continues on to attack and deal with Omega and Ospreay. Maybe there's something that happens there, and that heat comes back again on a Dynamite this week. We'll see. And then we get to Jon Moxley and Cope. Okay, first of all, the match was okay. They're not working bad with each other. I don't think that's the issue. We're not talking about these guys are not able to work anymore. It's fine. But the storyline of the Death Riders and anything that's attached to it sucks. I just don't like it. I didn't think Cope would win tonight. I wanted him to win because I wanted anything just to get the Jon Moxley character and the Death Riders off. I want Jon Moxley doing something else. This right here is just horrible. This reworking of Black Bull Combat Club is as bad as when they changed Judgment Day, and it's still Judgment Day. For me, if you don't have Bryan Danielson out there and you want to go and change up the Blackpool Combat Club to something else, I don't care for Death Riders. This another year as the worst faction there is in all of wrestling. I just don't like it. And maybe there's some people that have a thing for it, but I just don't like it at all. It sucks. This was WCW at its finest. A couple of older stars taking up spots. We're not going for some younger stars. Like, this was a WCW kind of feel. Okay, we had the cruiserweights. We had the great match there. We had a great U.S. title match. You know, whatever we got. We had great feuds going, whatever. And then we get to this right here with this Eric Bischoff, Hulk Hogan feeling like booking control. I mean, I feel like Jon Moxley's got creative control right now. He keeps winning. He gets a way around this match, but what they did here at the end was pretty cool. So Christian Cage has had the contract in his hand, and he tries to take advantage again. This time he finally cashes in. Uses the briefcase on Cope, or the clipboard, the heavy clipboard. And then Moxley comes in when Christian Cage is trying to sneak in for the win, puts on the choke, the Bulldog choke. It was hilarious to see that Christian Cage almost got a pinfall while being choked out before he did get choked out, and Moxley wins. But Christian Cage is out. That whole opportunity's gone. I mean, I think the cash-in was well done. I'll give that part. But I can't stand Jon Moxley staying as champion. That just annoys me right now to no end. But that's what they're going to do. That's what they decided they're going to do. So overall, no problem with that. Like I said, there's just a couple of things that are missing here. And I think it's just that with some of the people that have as like kind of placeholders with some of these titles, that's the problem. Because right now, look, there are some younger stars that, you know, I mean, Strickland and Moxley should be really good. I don't know what they're going to do with that. Swerve Strickland's going to need some backup to go up against Death Riders, but they're going to set that up. That's fine. That's a better opponent I would like to have, at least for Moxley in the meantime. We'll get Adam Page and MJF. I'm sure MJF will get his heat back. That's got to happen again. And then what happens to Don Callis and his family when it comes to Kenny Omega and Kyle Fletcher, and Will Ospreay? We'll see what they're going to do with that. And then Toni Storm gets to celebrate. Who's the next person that's going to try to go ahead and take, you know, that is going to go after her next? Like, I want to see who the next feud's going to be and who they decide to go with. That'll be fascinating. So there's a lot they're going to look forward to. It's not all the way perfect, but there's a lot much more that I enjoy out of this than I did not. So I give it a solid B. Like, the matches were pretty good for the most part, with a couple of storylines that just don't really care for. And I don't know if it's just about which stars are up there that they need to be given something right now based on their contracts, based on how long they've been there, or if there's a contract coming up. I don't know. We don't know what kind of factors are going into some of these storylines, but I think that Tony Khan's booking, I think he has to take certain things into account about who he has. The other thing that's got to happen too is what's been happening lately is that, okay, certain stars are not going to be sticking around anymore. So no Penta. Now no Rey Fenix. He's now been released. He's out after his injury time. And we go from there. Ricky Starks is out. So a couple of the people that we wanted to see go away, okay, they go off to free agency. Let's see where they go with that. But I don't think it takes away from what's going on right now in the company itself. We'll just see where they go going forward. Anyway, that's the program tonight. Thank you for listening in. We'll come back this Wednesday and see what they have. Hopefully we get something more about The Rock and John Cena. We finally get some more information on that. We finally get to see John Cena as a heel respond to what's going on right now in terms of going forward to being part of this corporation to take on Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. We'll keep an eye on that, and we'll see what the fallout of Revolution is going to be on the next Wrestling Israel podcast, because wrestling needs us.